being home, I was able to sort of keep an eye on him, try not to do too much because I knew in a year he'd be going to college. And he did grow and mature a lot by his senior year of high school, but I still wasn't sure if he was really ready to take on getting up in the morning and getting to class on time. I mean, those are the fears that you have too as a mom. And then exactly that, I had to change it in my mind that you did the job that you needed to do as a parent while he was home. You got to let him go. And if he stumbles a little bit, it's okay.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond Empty Nest. I'm your host, Jody Silverman, speaker, mentor, and Chief Dare Officer at Moms Who Dare. Every Thursday, I'll share stories of midlife transformation, happiness tips, and dare you to see the opportunities waiting for you so that you can make this next chapter even better than the last. If you're ready to dare, I'm ready to dare with you. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to Beyond Empty Nest. Today, we're diving into a unique challenge many parents face: the delicate balance of letting go while staying close. My guest today is navigating the tricky waters of having her son just 30 minutes away at college. And if we're really honest, it's just a 20-minute train ride. He's living on campus, but close enough to pop back home. And she's learning to balance her desire to stay connected with giving him the freedom to grow. How do you encourage independence when your child is so close? How do you resist becoming a helicopter mom? We're getting real about the lessons in letting go, even when they're still close by. So let's get into it. Brandi Millis is a former point guard from my alma mater high school, Cheltenham High, and University of Richmond. She went on to play professionally overseas. After returning to the U.S., she became a motivational speaker, sharing her journey of overcoming multiple career-threatening injuries. Wanting to help others reach their physical and mental goals, Brandi became a certified personal trainer and has run her own business from her home studio for the past 15 years. I've been lucky enough to be in her home studio twice a week for the past 12 years, and she's become more than just a personal trainer to me. She's my Monday, Wednesday therapist. She's my business brainstorming partner, my friend, and most importantly, an amazing boy mom to 3 really cool young men. Welcome to the show, Brandi.
Thank you. So
Yeah,
great to be here.
I know. It's so exciting to get to share you with my listeners. I keep her close to the vest, but I love sharing Brandi as well. So we're going to dive into a topic that we're calling close but letting go, navigating college life from 30 minutes or less away. And we're going to do like a different format. I have these questions I'm going to put out and you're going to answer them. And the questions are there to help you, whether your son or daughter are far away or close. We have a combination of questions, but I want to give a little context here. In August, I was fortunate enough to be a guest on a podcast on KYW News Radio in Philadelphia locally. It's called Bridging Philly and a live stream. I'll put a link below. But it was hosted by Raquel Williams, who is also brand new to sending off her oldest to college. And I was on that show with myself, another empty nest mom, Beth Allen, and also the Associate Dean of Students at Temple, which is where your son is right now.
Yeah.
So this is a great follow-up episode to that. So I'll make sure to link that episode below so you can hear the context of talking about college move-in day and the beginning. And now here we are, for some people, 2 to 3 months out. And we're going to get into it with, because close but letting go. And even if they're far, we have to let go, right?
Absolutely.
I know. So, okay. So the first question I have from you is, so what were your expectations going into this new chapter with Shay being so close to home? And how has reality aligned or differed with those expectations?
So interesting. So I sort of, for lack of a better word, mourned for a year of his senior year of high school. So I knew, it was the last of this, the last of that. And I do have a couple friends that are a little bit ahead of me. So they had sent their kids off a year or two before. So I sort of watched through their eyes and their experiences, but I also tried to keep it with how I felt as a mom and my relationship with my son. So Shay he really helped me his senior year by he wasn't home a lot. He was socializing a lot on the weekends, and just prepared me that we weren't going to have family dinner every Friday night, that he wasn't going to be home every Saturday night when I went to bed at my early hour of 10 o'clock, you know. So I started getting used to the idea of this family of five was starting to sometimes be more a family of four, with Shay interspersingly coming into our lives. Um, but I really, so my expectation, um, when, if August finally came, because I felt like the whole year I just kept preparing myself, and August finally came, and everyone's getting their kids ready, and here we go, and I'm all, pumped up, and move-in day comes, and I really thought, I'm dropping him off, I'm giving him a hug and a kiss, and I'm not going to see him until fall break. It's going to be 3 months, and this is what I'm preparing in my mind. So, um, as we're dropping him off, which I thought was going to be an entire day, and I would get to spend time with him, go out to lunch. It literally took about an hour and a half, and he's like, "Okay, see you later." And I was not prepared for that. I was like, "Whoa, like I need to give you like spend more time with you." And then he goes to say, "Oh, and by the way, I'm coming home Friday for a graduation party."
Okay.
So there, my expectation of not going to see him for 2 months, and now he's telling me he's coming home. It was like the worlds collide. My expectations were totally went by the wayside. So I really fought him hard on it. I said it's freshman year. This is when they do all of the introductions and all these different things, and he orientation. And he insisted, he goes, "Mom, it's a 15-minute train ride. I'll come home, I'll go to the party. It's one of my best friends, and I'll go back that night." Um, and back and forth, back and forth. He ended up coming home. And it actually worked out great. But then when I said goodbye to him again, I was like, okay, this is for real. Gave him a big hug and thought that that was the end of it until fall break.
I know. So, it's interesting because you and I talk about this. I mean, being who I am, you went through me, all my trials and tribulations, all my ups and downs emotionally with my kids leaving, both of them. I mean, we've been together for 12 years.
Yes.
And so, we've done a lot of mom talk. We both support each other. But what's interesting is, and we just talked about this recently, the colleges and universities, and people like the guest that I had on the show with me from Temple, the rule of thumb is if you can avoid letting your sons or daughters come home that first month, it's better for them because you want them to integrate and you want them to make friends. And it's the crucial time of figuring out who you're going to go to the lunchroom with and eat dinner with and the clubs. And yet, because I asked you, I go, "My God, how are you feeling about that?" And that's why the pushback, because that's, as a mom, you're like, "No, you're not supposed to come home. And you live too close now. And I'm going to miss you." But, what that became, you and I talked about, that had to become a part of knowing your kid, trusting your kid, because and we talked about that. You have two other boys and they're completely, all three of them are different personalities. And, I know you shared that, for the older one, for Shay, like it's working out. He's got the nice balance. But how did you balance letting him come home and not wanting to like be there and like have him in your house? Like he didn't come home and just come to your house. He came home to a party.
Right.
And
Right. And interestingly enough, when you think party, he's not a party kid. So fraternity life and all of those things that kids really get excited about in college, and that's why they want to stay on campus. He didn't necessarily have that desire to be down there. So continuing his life in the last 2 months that he's been down there, he happens to have a girlfriend back in our area who's a senior at the high school. So that was a little bit of motivation for him also to continue to come home. Plus, he has a lot of friends who are either commuting to Temple or other colleges in the area or that are seniors in high school. So what I started to realize was exactly what you just said. He wasn't coming home for me. He wasn't coming home and staying in our house and just having that feeling of safety, of
And
being back
isolate, he
where he
wasn't
was.
isolating
Yeah.
himself.
No, not at all. In fact, the opposite. He was coming home and I barely saw him. It was like either pick him up at the train and then drop him off somewhere. So what I realized for him in the last couple of months is he is still making friends. His major is film, and a lot of that is collaborative. So they have to work in groups. So he is making friends at college and doing his own thing and still very independent. And even the train rides home, having to navigate all of that is gaining confidence and independence. So I'm trying to spin it and realize that I would rather him be coming home and socializing and happy and seeing his girlfriend and continuing a healthy relationship than him sitting in his dorm room by himself on a Saturday night watching TV or his
Yeah.
iPad. So it's been a learning curve for me, specifically, again, going back to your original question. My expectations were so different with what the reality ended up being, but I realized that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it took me a while to get there.
So, okay. So what fears? I mean, fears or worries that you either had going into it or I guess how have your fears or worries as a mom evolved now that he's nearby in this new phase of life, but not under your roof every day?
Well, interestingly, it's not a secret that a lot of people um, don't necessarily feel comfortable with the whole idea of people living down at Temple. It's in a neighborhood that a couple blocks away, there's safety issues and things happen. However, everyone that I've talked to that has kids there, that have gone there, I went down, I have been there a few times on campus. It feels extremely safe. With that said, there's still things that happen. So I think I was sort of trying to balance myself with letting my mind go there, where he's walking home and he does often. He'll take the train after dark and he's walking from the train station a couple blocks to get onto campus. And as much as they have an escort service, if you want it, I know he's not going to use it every time. And it's just not getting overwhelmed in my head about, fearing something's going to happen to him. Of course, I had the conversation with him, be aware of your surroundings. I'd rather you walk with a group. If no one's there, I ask him to call somebody. It's never me. It's never my husband. It's always his girlfriend or a friend. But
He's on the phone.
yes, I just like him to be on the phone with somebody. God forbid something happens. At least I know, I cannot get the story of what happened. But again, I had to lose that fear because that was a big fear, like him just walking around campus
Yeah.
at a later time of day. But again, very quickly, you can let yourself go there, or you can just try to let it go. And I chose to not allow it to control my
Yeah,
mind.
it's hard. It's about trust and belief. Trust. Well, I said this on the KYW interview. It's about trusting that you laid a foundation and
Yes.
taught your child the foundation of safety, security, and being making, for lack of a better word, making those good choices. I
Right.
I, I kind of like got rid of that as they went to college, that slogan, and believing that they know it and to trust and believe. They need to know you trust and believe in them, right? So
Absolutely. And that goes along with academics. Like
yes.
he wasn't, the most organized kid in high school. So, being home, I was able to sort of keep an eye on him, try not to do too much because I knew in a year he'd be going to college. And he did grow and mature a lot by his senior year of high school, but I still wasn't sure if he was really ready to take on getting up in the morning and getting to class on time. I mean, those are the fears that you have too as a mom. And then exactly that, I had to change it in my mind that you did the job that you needed to do as a parent while he was home. You got to let him go. And if he stumbles a little bit, it's okay, you know?
I'm curious, deviating from the actual list of questions that I actually have. I'm because you led into this. So did you and Adam is your husband? Did you and
Yes.
Adam actually have a conversation with Shay, set expectations around academics, what's expected of him as far as going to class and grades and navigating, his life?
Yeah, we did. It was actually throughout his senior year, you know, when something would happen in high school, whether he had a late assignment or didn't put effort into as much as he should have, which again got fewer and fewer as he got older, but it still was like, Shay, next year you're not going to have us here
Yeah,
to,
gotcha.
talk to you about it. So it was a constant conversation. It seemed to be the theme of his senior year about talking about next year when you're on your own. And I think a lot of it really did, as much as he may have, rolled his eyes a couple times at us behind closed doors.
Oh, I'm
I think
sure.
some of it really did resonate with him. And even now I can just hear how proud he is of being able to stay on top of things, and really takes a lot of pride in the fact that he's doing well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if he is struggling, he'll call you and he'll ask for advice. He knows he can. He knows you're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So I want to get back to it because I really do believe, especially in the first year, especially the first few months, which is where we are, that this the inability of the parents to not know everything about their kid. So I want to address something we also talked about in KYW, that Raquel called it being a drone parent or a helicopter parent. But I'll tell you something that happened to us, that having a locator, the Find My Friends, find your
Just gonna
location.
bring it up. Yes.
So I need to talk about this because for me, I believe somebody in the family should have, my kids have my location. If God forbid there was an emergency and they needed to find me and nobody could tell them where I was. And we wanted that. I didn't want it on my phone. I knew myself well enough to know that it would not be healthy for me to be able to pull it up all the time, nor did I feel that it was appropriate for me to know where they were all the time, because I remember college. You don't really need to know where your kids are after midnight. You know where they are. They're
Yeah.
either hanging out or they're at a party. You don't need to see it. And that goes with the trust. The kids need to know that you trust in them. So how have you, what's your policy on Find My having locator for Shay?
Right. So
And
we have
he
the
might listen to this. I don't know if he knows.
Yeah, no, we
I
had the
know there's
Life
no secrets.
360. When he started driving, we got the Life 360, and it was definitely more for him driving, making sure he got to the place that he got to, and not him worrying about calling us every time or text. It was just easier. And we also have two younger kids, so them coming home from the bus, it was nice to know where they are and when they're going to get home. And we kept it. I didn't say anything to Shay when he left. It was like my security blanket that I would still have this. And for the first week, I was checking it nonstop. Is he still in his dorm? Did he go out? All of that. And then it just clicked right away. Exactly. I said, this is not healthy. It's not healthy for me. He couldn't care less. He's just the type of kid, fine, mom,
Yeah,
follow me. I don't care.
right.
So it wasn't him, but I knew for me that I just, exactly what you just said. I would be checking it too often, and what I realized too is when he would call and say, "Hey mom," and I would say, "What'd you do today?" I sort of already knew that he was in his dorm for 4 hours and that he went to eat I didn't, so the conversation didn't feel genuine to me, and it was taking something away from our relationship. And I actually have a client whose son is away for the first time, and she told me she took 360 off her phone, and it really inspired me to try and do the same. So I didn't say I was going to do it forever. I told myself I was going to do it for a week and see how it went. And it was life changing for me. Absolutely life changing.
You know what, Brandy, you're right. It is inauthentic. It's not all because you already know where he is, and so it could be perceived by them that you're waiting for them to tell you they were somewhere where they weren't, or maybe they left something out, and then how your thoughts can overtake. Why didn't he tell me he went there? Or what, and it's a benign, innocent omission, but yet because we know there's so many pitfalls to
Yeah.
having that on the phone. And for me, and so that was like the boundaries we set for ourselves to avoid becoming that helicopter mom.
Yeah.
I said to I said, share your location with dad. I don't need to have it on my phone. And they knew I don't want to. I
Yeah.
don't want to
And
know.
some people will say it's different with a daughter than a son, but I will tell you, I was a daughter and my parents, both of us they didn't have that ability to know where we were. And I think it really yeah, the relationship though that I had with Shay, I love when he calls because I want to know what he's up to
Right.
and also when he comes home, I want to know. And like you said, Adam has it and we have it for the other three kids. So if he goes home late, I'll just say to Adam, can you just check and make sure he got back to his dorm before you go to bed tonight? And that's a security for me that at least Adam can check it if we want to. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I love
yeah,
that. I love it. It's so important because look, you talk about when your parents couldn't, we didn't even have landlines. We had pay phones. We are a different generation, you and I. I'm 58.
yeah.
We had,
I'm
and
close. Yes, yes.
everybody my age knows there was a payphone on every floor in the dorm of the sorority. There was a sign-up sheet for Sunday night phone calls.
Oh
We
my
would
gosh.
reverse the charges. They would get a collect call from Jody. They would say, no, hang up and call us back. Like it was a whole thing.
Right.
They spoke
Yeah.
to us Sunday, period.
Yeah. Yeah,
Period.
exactly.
It
But
was
those
healthier for
conversations were
everybody.
meaningful. You had so much to share with them
But it was
because
also healthier.
yeah.
I think the biggest myth is that, and I'm holding it up as we're on if you're not watching, if you're listening and not watching video, I'm holding up my cell phone. We think that the ability to have constant access decreases worry and anxiety. I dare to say it increases your worry and anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much connectedness. I'm with you. Let your son or daughter call you. Now, if you have a son or daughter who's not calling you, you got to set that expectation. We had one where I was like, okay, once a week we have to touch base.
Yeah.
More than just an emoji, more than just a text, because you need to hear their voices. Because you
Mhm.
as a mom, you as a dad can tell if there's something off. You need to gauge those first few months, how they're doing, especially if you have a son or daughter who's too proud or shame or full of shame because they're not doing well. I mean,
Mhm.
there are kids that are like, I should be doing well. No, you shouldn't. You need to ask for help. You've never, Shay didn't run his everyday life at home,
Right. Right.
no matter how much freedom you gave him. So it's all about that expectations about how often to come home, expectations. Does he have to call you every time he comes to the area?
Right.
I don't
Exactly.
know.
Which is so interesting. And we did not talk about that. And ironically, if it's during the week, he had one day where his last class was canceled and he wanted to come home and see his girlfriend. And he actually texted me, just so you know, I'm coming in the area. I didn't see him, but it was just funny that he just chose to share that with me. And I appreciate that. I didn't need to know, but it was nice that
Respectful. It
he
was
actually
very
thought of it.
respectful. It's not necessary, but it's very respectful because I would venture to say that if you hadn't done that and you ran into somebody and they said, "Oh yeah, we saw Shay," and there would
Yeah.
have been something inside of it. I would have felt for you like, how did he not tell you he was at least? You don't have to see him or talk to him. Just an
Yeah,
FYI.
let me know I'm in the area. Another thing that I thought of when you were just talking is so laundry. The fact that we are so close
I asked
and
you about this. Yes.
okay, so I knew he had about enough underwear and socks that would last about 2 weeks. When we were packing all the stuff up, I asked him, do you need any more stuff? And we figured that out. So we were getting to that 2 week mark, and I kept asking, did you do your laundry yet? And he kept saying, no, I'm going to. Finally, he had to do his laundry. And I think he was coming home that weekend. He actually made the comment, like, well, maybe I'll just bring it home. I'm like, absolutely not. You are not bringing your laundry at home. Go do it. And he figured it out, and it's so easy now. Oh my gosh, talk about the difference. They have like an app on their
Ah,
cell phone that tell them when it's done, when it's ready to be, yeah.
no,
So that was interesting too, because I know that's probably just an easy thing for people who are close by just to grab all their laundry and take it home on the weekend. And I just didn't want, I really wanted him to keep that at school.
I love
Yeah.
that. See,
Yeah.
there's a boundary that you found works for you. It's every mom, every parent's going to have different boundaries that they need to set for whatever their reasons are. And I love that I love that one. I love
Yeah, and I don't even know why. For me, it was just more about him organizing his life and
yeah.
understanding. I mean, he did laundry at home, so it wasn't, it wasn't new to him to do his own laundry. I just felt it would just be too cushiony to just,
Well,
bring
and
him home.
it's
Yeah.
part of managing your everyday life is making sure you get clean sheets and clean underwear. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of managing everyday life. I love it.
Yeah.
I think you're one of the best moms out there ever. I do because I can share with everybody just because I'm telling you, therapy sessions happen in our fitness session. I can tell you because you're open to understanding yourself. You're open to learning about yourself as a mom and making adjustments. And you're not just like, this is the way I feel because I'm a mom, which leads me to a question that can be really hard to ask and difficult, but I don't think it's going to be difficult for you. What personal lessons are you learning about yourself in this process of letting launching Shay at college?
You know, it's really interesting because I think a lot of the issues that I had in the beginning of him coming home were my own hangups when I went away. I dated long distance for the first couple of months. I had a boyfriend back at home, and it didn't end up working out well. I was a little bit further, not able to come home as often, but I remember not going out and meeting new people and really waiting for the phone call to come every Friday or Saturday night. And so I started putting my personal experience and put it on him in the beginning. And I think even with everything in college, going to the dining hall, and I have all these expectations for what I want his life to be at school. And he really helped me understand that he is not we always knew the two of us have completely different personalities, and we are very open with one another. And he has taught me so much about myself and as a mom, and really trusting the relationship that we have, and him being ready to take on, this life of independence. And so I think it was really hard for me to take my own personal feelings and just let them go and realize that, not that I was trying to live vicariously
No,
through him. It was
no.
almost the opposite, that I didn't want him following in my footsteps of certain mistakes that I made. But I realized those are going to be his mistakes to make if they are mistakes for him, and they may not be.
I
Yeah.
love so much what you said. I have learned it's so true. And I think it's normal. We want either we had great experiences and we want the same thing for them,
Yes.
or we don't want them to make the same mistakes, or we missed out on something and we want it to live it. All of those are real, but to have the awareness to know that that's what you're doing, I have learned just like you, Ellie and Daniel have taught me so much
Mhm.
about myself, about how to be a mom differently to each one of them, what they need and what they don't need from me. And it wasn't always easy, and it wasn't always pretty, which they might listen to this. There were some serious tears while working out sometimes. But we always got the workout in. We always got the
Yeah.
work.
And you always had the
Um,
punching bag to,
yeah,
get out
oh,
your
good
aggression.
punching bag. Yes. Oh, I remember once when I walked in, you said you need the punching bag today. I'm like, yeah. But I love that. I love that the lessons are just to really become aware of understanding why you're feeling and wanting something for them, and maybe and putting it aside and just receiving, and they will teach you and show you. And again, you have to know your kid. You have to know your kid. So I love that. I
Absolutely.
love that. All right. So there's so much goodness here. This is going to help so many moms. And because you know what, I say this all the time, and I want my listeners to believe me. We are so much more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
We are, a mom is a mom is a mom. We all mom differently. We all have different levels of boundaries and expectations. Our children are different, and yet we're all so much more alike than we are different. We love our kids unconditionally. We worry, we have fear, we put our fears on them. It's normal. It's just becoming aware that you're doing it so you can step back and let them fly and let them fall. You got to let them fall too. So this is a future, looking in the future kind of question. We're going to wrap it up with, so how do you think your relationship with Shay will evolve over the next few years as he continues his college journey? Because he's going to evolve and change.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but nowadays they actually choose. He just called me the other day and said, "Mom, we have to figure out what living situation is going to be next year. Like you have to already pick an apartment or figure out that it's coming. I mean, in the next month or two." So, he wants to live in an apartment next year as opposed to the dorms. And, you know, what's interesting too, when you were saying moms, we're all different. I think that was a big learning lesson for me too, because I realized watching my friends go through it and their experiences and their relationships with their kids, I think Shay really, when it came down to it, we both realized, and I realized specifically that this is our journey as a mom and son, and that I have to get rid of all my other thoughts of what everyone else did and figure out what works for us. Because I kept saying, do I call him? I don't know. Is it too early? I just talked to him yesterday. Do I need, but I had a question for him. And I realized watching my husband, if he has a question, like, where did you put the belt that you borrowed from me? He just calls. He doesn't think twice about is it. And I realized Shay's not the type of kid to say, why are you calling me again? So your child and your kid. So for the future, I really feel I do have the confidence that he's going to do what he needs to do to continue to grow as a person and as a student. And our relationship will remain strong and it will change. And I realized that with my own parents, our relationship has changed throughout the years of depending on where we are in life. And the bottom line, I think all as moms, the bottom line is we want our kids to be happy. So as long as he is happy, who cares how many times he comes home, how many times I talk to him a day? If I'm feeling sad because I haven't talked to him in a while, I'll call him, and we'll figure it out. But that really, so, to look in the future, I really do feel the difference will probably be that he won't be coming home as much.
Correct.
Freshman year with people more local. I've talked to other parents. It seems like a lot of after that first initial year where they're just trying to figure it all out, once they get their lives situated on campus, they seem to, stay there a little bit more. But yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys are going to be just fine. You are just fine. I never shared that I only went to school 45 minutes. It was a 45-minute drive. And,
Okay.
where we live in the Philadelphia, in the burbs, 45 minutes is like around the corner.
Right.
It's like everything is 20 to 40 minutes away. It's like, so, and I never wanted to come home. I did come home, but I didn't want to come home. Spoiler alert, Mom. Sorry. I didn't want to come home, but I had to come home for certain reasons at certain times. Anyway, all right. So nobody gets out of here. Well, before we get to our dare, I want to tell everybody that if you are local to the Philadelphia and the burbs area and you are looking for, I don't know, to get your healthy back and you want a personal trainer, I just want to give a plug on why. People ask me why a personal trainer is more expensive than a gym. And I'm going to just answer this question answer it right out. Get rid of the money crap in your head. Because here's the thing. We all go to a gym and then our knee hurts or our shoulder hurts. So what do? We don't go to the gym because we can't work out. We have a pain. Doesn't happen with Brandi. I've been going to Brandi for 12 years. She's a personal trainer. I text her, hey, knee's acting up again. Okay, I still get a kick-ass workout and we baby the knee. I've had surgeries. We've come back. We follow protocol from my physical therapist. So if you are local to Philadelphia in the burbs and you're looking for in-person or virtual workout support and experiences, Brandi's your girl. and I have the link below in the show notes. Click it, reach out to her. If you're a mom and you have questions, reach out to Brandi, reach out to me. This is what we do. We support other moms. So I just want to make sure everything you need. I will link the KYW, the Bridging Philly episode below. You don't have to be from Philly to listen to it. I'll link, it's trainwithbrandi.com, and Brandi's with an I, but I'll link it below. And yeah, and you know how to reach me. All my contacts are always there. So I just want to make sure everybody knew how they could find you, and that, it's an investment, especially in midlife, your health and wellness, your ability to, keep your muscle mass, and all kidding aside from injuries. I don't miss keeping in shape because I have somebody who knows my unique challenges and what my unique capabilities are, and pushes me just a little bit. And again, there is a punching bag, moms. Just saying, punching bag. All right,
Comes in a-
Brandi, we don't get out of here without giving our listeners a dare.
Okay.
I need a dare from you.
Well, going back to one of our topics today, I really do dare you to, and I know moms whose kids are out of college and still have that Life 360 or tracker on their kids. And I really dare you to do it. Just aim for a week and see how you feel doing that. And I promise you, it's going to feel uncomfortable because anything new is uncomfortable. But challenge yourself, and I think you may really feel a little bit of weight, believe it or not, off your shoulders.
Yeah, and I'll add to it, pay attention to your conversations with your children after you take it off your phone, like you said. Though
Yeah.
it's more, you don't need to know. I love that. That's a great dare. I didn't even know that's what you were going to say until you started to say it. I'm like, that's what it is. She's doing that. Take the tracker off your phone for a week. Be uncomfortable with it. Have a piece of chocolate if you need to. And then see how you feel, see how it goes, see how the conversation, see how you really do feel. I love that. Thank you, Brandi. I'm so excited that you joined me for this.
It was so nice being with you outside the
Yeah,
gym and in regular clothes and your hair done and all of that.
I know we both look so different than we do at 7:30 in the morning on Monday and Wednesdays. But I look forward to seeing you Monday. And thank you so much for being part of my world and just being open to share. And I know Shay's doing great. I know the other two boys are doing great. They're going to continue to do great. And we'll keep having our therapy sessions while we work out.
Sounds great.
All right, everybody. As I always say, well, next week there'll be another episode of, actually, this is a bonus episode. So this Thursday will be another episode of Beyond Empty Nest. Let us know, leave comments for us on this episode. We want to hear how this helped. Maybe you share some of the boundaries and expectations that you had and you've come to realize have shifted. We want to support each other. So let's share. And like, as I always say, dare on. Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Empty Nest. For detailed show notes and more information, be sure to visit jodysilverman.com. Have you heard of the Double Dares? Well, we're a community of moms and midlife women blending virtual and in-person interactions for connection, support, and exciting experiences. From Mommy and Me classes to soccer sidelines, moms have always found strength in community. And as we navigate the empty nest and other midlife transitions, having that go-to safe space and other women to lean on is a must. Ladies, this is not the chapter to do it alone. Our drama-free group echoes the sentiment of the Cheers theme song, a place where everybody knows your name and our troubles are all the same. If you've been seeking connection and have a desire to figure out who you are and what your purpose is now, then Moms Who Double Dare is the perfect fit for you. Only through the link in our show notes below can you explore and enjoy the first month at half off. Plus, with no contracts, there's zero risk involved. Join us today and get started on your journey of self-discovery, surrounded by new friends who understand and get you. You've sent your kids off to brave new experiences, meet new people, and discover who they get to be. Now, it's your turn. It's your turn to embrace this new adventure. If you're ready to dare on, I'm here to lead the way. Let's embark on this exciting journey together. Click the link below, and as I always say, dare on.